Ayy, look, yeah, ayy. I'm in the lab like Dexter, brand new batch he tested. I'm with all the extras, don't try and bitch, I'm pressure. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers.
Now let's go ahead and move on to the coaches of the league. What coaches are under the most pressure to win a championship in this postseason?
This one
Or
was a
actually,
little bit
let
tough
me
one.
reword this question. Actually, it's more so what coaches are under the most pressure in this postseason.
I
I
want to
already,
say,
I already know
wanna
who it
say-
is.
I want to
Yeah,
say,
I know what I'm saying.
I want to say, one is Doc Rivers for me. I want to say two. Like if I had to say my top three would be Doc Rivers, Michael Malone, and Monty Williams. I feel like those are my top three for coaches under pressure. Doc Rivers, obviously, I think that's self-explanatory. I mean, he has a history for choking. I mean, this guy, I've never seen somebody ride out one ring for this long. His reputation built off of that. You know, he's coached multiple Clippers teams where they've choked, got bounced out. And then of course, the Sixers team now. I feel like Doc Rivers, he's at the literally at the forefront of this team, and I feel like if they don't perform to expectations this offseason, I think he's gonna be this postseason. He's gonna be gone. In this offseason, Michael Malone, now that he has a roster, there's no excuses. He's been under fire this year. For being a Jokic merchant in reality, for Jokic being able to carry that team and putting him in positions to win. There's gonna be a lot of question marks about him because he has a roster now. And Monty Williams, just because they were in the finals, and then they lost at the finals, and then next year they're a 60+ win team, and then they lost in Game 7, a brutal way to Dallas, and now they have another great team. I feel like he's under a lot of pressure to perform with this team that he has. So those are the coaches that I believe are under the most pressure.
For me, it's quite simple. It's Doc Rivers. To get bounced out in the second round, what's it called? Just literally like have a disgusting showing against my Miami Heat last year, and then if this year, if he doesn't solidify himself and really take this team over the hump, like this is the guy you bring in to kind of potentially do that. So if he doesn't do that, that's a bit alarming. So I feel like it's flat out just him. He's the one that's like you're under a microscope. You're on the hot seat. Like every game matters to you. So you better coach your ass off and like like if people are not hitting shots, sub them out. If Tobias Harris is missing like 20 shots, take them out. Like this is your call. Make yourself be known. Like Doc Rivers, man, you gotta start coaching, man.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be hitting on point. Doc, Mike Malone, and then the last two that I'm gonna throw in is gonna be Mike. I can't pronounce his last name.
Budenholzer?
Milwaukee coach. Mike Budenholzer and Monty Williams. I feel like the Bucks. They've been named one of the best teams in the NBA the last 4 to 5 years. I know he got one ring so far, but a lot of people expect him. A lot of people expect the Bucks every single year to go back to the finals. I feel like it's a little bit disappointing that they haven't been back to the finals ever since that win. And I feel like this year with the team they have with Drew Holiday hooping, with Giannis hooping, with Brook Lopez hooping, with Bobby Portis, Grayson Allen, a lot of these guys hooping. I feel like it's their time to come back to the finals and win another chip. Last year they lost to Boston. Am I correct? The year before they lost to.
The year before is a ring.
Yeah,
Oh, the year before the ring.
they went crazy. Yeah,
The year before that was what? They lost to Miami before the ring and
2020.
pretty sure
But 2021 though, Budenholzer was in the hot seat though. Like every game mattered
was in
to
the
him.
hot seat. Yeah,
He
it
was-
mattered.
yeah.
I don't know.
They
I,
were trying
I
to
don't.
get him
I,
out
don't,
of
I,
there.
don't, I don't think he's under crazy pressure. To
Yeah.
be
He's
honest.
not
feel
under
like-
crazy pressure, but I expect him. I
Yeah.
expect him to go back to another final.
Small
sooner or later.
market, you want a chip. I feel like at this point,
Yeah.
man, he could sub in Giannis every game. He got the city,
Yeah,
man.
I don't know. For me,
Yeah, he got the city.
we spoke about me and I spoke about it recently. Talking about is their run closing together as a team. Is it going to stop soon? I feel like right now it's the perfect time for him to get back to the finals, get a second championship, just solidify that spot with Giannis as one of the best coaching player duos in the league. But Monty Williams, Mike Malone, Doc Rivers, those three guys. If Monty can get back to the finals with the team he has right now, I expect him to win it. You got KD, you got Book, you got A, and the guys got CP3. And then Doc Rivers, godly man, the guys are just living off the Boston ring since 2008. Ain't nothing else there for him. And nothing else there in the playoffs for him. Just that Boston ring and a bunch of second round losses. So, I expect a lot from Rivers and then Malone. He finally has the healthy team right now with Jokic and Jamal Murray back, MPJ's back. They got a good roster with him. It's finally time for him to win a ring too as well. So those are the coaches I got. Other than that, can't really say anything. Darnham, nah. Steve Kerr, he solidified himself. Boston's new coach, it's a new coach for him. You know, you can't put nothing on him. Yeah, I don't expect nothing from the Hawks, Miami. I don't expect anything else from those type of teams. But those four right there.
Yeah, man. For me, I had a top two ready to go, man. When I thought about this topic, bro. But with the news, Paul George not being able to come back in the series, to come play in this series against the Phoenix Suns, kind of just threw off my entire list. Because I can't lie, I put Tyronn Lue as my number one, and then I put Malone as number two. But now Mike Malone is my number one for coaches that are under the most pressure to deliver in this postseason. I feel like, you know, I mentioned in our last episode where they don't necessarily give him a lot of credit. It's pretty much always the credit's always given to Nikola Jokic and his success and what he's been able to do for that franchise. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to, as a head coach, you have to deliver. You know, you have to be able to put your team in the best position possible to win. And I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, they have the pieces. They have the pieces to compete, and they have the pieces to contend. And I feel like if Mike Malone isn't able to get it done in this postseason with all of his guys back, do the Denver Nuggets look in a different direction and move on from him and try to get a new head coach and a new voice to bring a new voice into the locker room to kind of shake things up and kind of move in a different direction, kind of get these guys ready to go and actually complete the ultimate goal. So I just have Mike Malone on my list. But the reason why I had Tyronn Lue for me is simply because, you know, the Clippers built this team, like Big H mentioned, you know, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and they haven't been able to deliver. You know, obviously we saw AD and LeBron deliver, and it just hasn't been great for them on the other side, you know, as the neighbors to the Lakers. So I just feel like, you know, Tyronn Lue, although we kind of view him in like this highlight where it's like he's a great head coach, I don't necessarily see the resume for Tyronn Lue. Like, he got that one ring in 2016 where they came back down from 3-1, where he took over midseason after that David Blatt firing. But it's just like, you know, like after that, he doesn't really have much under his belt. Like, there's a lot of first round, second round, third round exits. He hasn't gone back to the finals after leaving Cleveland. It's just tough to watch. So I feel like, you know, if the Clippers were coming into this postseason healthy with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I feel like, man, this guy would be under the most pressure to deliver. But with Paul George, you know, not being available for this series, I just feel like, you know, it's another cop-out excuse, you know, where, you know, one of their duos is injured. Last year it was Kawhi, this year is PG. It's just the same story. It's the same runaround story. So go ahead, and for me, I just got Mike Malone, plain and simple. I think that pretty much wraps up for our list for coaches under the most pressure.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lakes, now that's overkill.